Hey, welcome back to another Get Geekish podcast. Hey, Derek, how you doing over there?
It's me, a static. It doesn't have the same role as Mario.
It doesn't quite fit the same there. But
Yeah. It's me, See, it works with your name.
It's a Derek. No, that's awful.
I'd have to be like Rico. There we go.
You need some more vowels in your name. Anyway, that's Derek. I'm Beno. We do this podcast most every week, talking about our nerdy things that we love, and this week is no different. Both of us grew up big fans of the Super Mario Brothers franchise, and one of us, that guy over there, has actually seen the movie. I've not yet, but it broke all kinds of box office records, and so we're going to talk about some video game movies, because there's been some good ones. There's been some really bad ones.
Well, let's backtrack, because you may be sitting there going, well, I've been listening to you guys for a while. Didn't you guys already cover something like this? We did. But lately, Hollywood has been doing somewhat decent with video game movies. So let's start with the Super Mario Brothers movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
The animated one.
Ironically
enough,
just came out.
I was gonna say, ironically enough, though, the one in 1993 is trending on Amazon because people are starting to watch it. So it's.
Well, I will say that one it did become a bit of a cult classic, and it was pretty much the first video game turned into a movie. It's just done not very well.
Well, I gotta say, so a lot of people give it a lot of flack, and I know we've covered this in the past, but it was years ago, so you don't remember. I don't remember. But
I
a
don't
lot of
remember things from this morning. It's fine,
right? A lot of people gave that movie a lot of flack. I loved that movie as a kid, and I remember leaving the theater going, "It's not like the video game, but I still enjoyed it." And I know it's been lambasted by critics. It's Bob Hoskins hated it. A lot of people were like, "This is the worst movie ever made." I disagree. I've seen a lot worse movies than the Super Mario Brothers movie from '93, but I digress. I'm glad that it's kind of gaining again because I do want to own it digitally. So.
yeah, I mean, it was not a masterpiece by any means, and I still enjoyed it. I just thought it was they took some random weird liberties of changing things to make it more of a Hollywood movie, which made no sense at all. Having the Goopas be giant mutant people that just had little tiny heads on them, and having to make the giant robotic feet things so they could jump higher. It's just some of that I didn't agree with. But
also, if you watch it now as an adult, it's like they started making that movie for adults with a lot of risque and adult humor and stuff like that. And then the executive was like, this is a kid's movie, right? Based off a video game. They're like, oh, yeah.
I mean, we can't talk about Mario cleaning Peach's pipes? What? But let's digress. We're going back to the Super Mario Brothers. We're not giving any spoilers away, one, because I haven't seen it. But, I mean, so far, Super Mario Brothers is the biggest opening weekend of any movie so far in 2003. Took in almost $400 million.
Plus, isn't it like the biggest opening for an animation or something like that?
Yeah, it beat Frozen and Frozen 2 for biggest opening weekend for an animation and biggest opening weekend for a video game movie, which previously belonged to Warcraft, which
was not a good movie.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, they're talking about it might break all kinds of records and might end up being one of the biggest movies of 2023. And from what I gather, Jack Black might even be talks for Oscar for the song that he wrote.
Peaches. Yeah. So here's the thing. What's funny about this movie? Okay, so we've all played Mario, right? There is a lot of different ways that Mario can go, right? Like Super Mario Land is different than Super Mario World, and Super Mario 3 is different than Mario 2, just all these different things. I'm really excited because with this movie, they did a good job of first of all, let me say it coming out on Easter weekend was fantastic because of all the Easter eggs that are actually in the movie. And it's not like just fan service ones of they're just putting in there to make it happy, but if you're listening to some of the songs in the background or something, you're like, oh yeah, and it's catching little things, right? Chris Pratt and all of them have already said there's a potential for numerous sequels. I'm kind of here for it. Now, I know you and I had when they first announced this movie, we were a little worried about Chris Pratt being Mario.
Yeah, that was my next question, because I know you were very apprehensive because you were very upset that it wasn't the original Mario voice actor. How did it go?
Good. So here's the thing, I think, with a lot of people when it was announced, Granted, Mario didn't really get a voice until Super Nintendo, or not Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64 is kind of when he got more of a personality, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the whoa and all that. But when they first announced it, I was like, Charles Martinet's not in it, or he's in it, but he's not Mario. That makes no sense. And then you and I had the discussion of, do you want to watch an hour and a half movie of somebody going, let's go, ooh, on, and it's like, after, and I had this conversation with my daughter too. I was like, after about 5-10 minutes of it, 20 minutes of it, you're like, okay, like I still appreciate it, but okay. So Chris Pratt works. I would say that Charlie Day was a fantastic Luigi. Like he nailed it spot on. What is it? Keenan Michael Key or yeah, right? Keenan.
I
He's
think so.
Toad.
Mm-hmm.
He's Toad. Fantastic. Like Toad is one of the most annoying characters in the whole game anyway, but like just he nailed it. He nailed it. And honestly, Jack Black as Bowser just kind of stole the whole movies. But I'm excited where they can expand this because, there's so many different characters throughout the Mario universe that they can do, so many different routes, so many different stories. Because that's the thing about the Mario universe is there's some set stories, but you can create your kind of own with it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think I have like I legit smiled from the opening credits to the end credits
Yeah,
the whole way through.
I've heard nothing but good things, and one of my friends described it as a love letter from Nintendo to its fans.
Hmm. Yeah, and it was a fantastic job. And honestly, like as annoying as Chris Pratt can be, he wasn't annoying as Mario. It worked, and all the fun little touches throughout the movie is just it. Like you said, is a love letter. It's a love letter to the fans. So I'm excited to see where they're going to go with this. And lately Hollywood has been kind of knocking it out of the park with some video game movies. We have Detective Pikachu, which was great. Um, there was another recent one that we saw that wasn't too bad. Granted, Uncharted wasn't great. Assassin's Creed wasn't great.
Uncharted was still enjoyable, though.
Did you play the video game though?
No.
That's why.
Mm.
But I mean, even the Last of Us TV show is fantastic. It's sticking to the source material. They're taking some liberties, but they work. The Halo series, on the other hand, was awful and failed. And I watched the first episode and did not go back to it because it was not great. So I think if they try to do too much, I think it's not going to work. If they stick to the source material and kind of take a little liberties here and there, just to appease the fans as well as because it can still bring in new people, I think it's going to be great. Because I mean, again, Detective Pikachu. I never played the video game, but I know people who did play the video game. They said they loved the movie. So, and we're getting a sequel to that. So, I mean, it is just, I'm excited.
Yes, because if we look back at some of the history of some of these older video game movies, I mean, you can find some real duds in there. Because we had Mario Brothers back in '93. Then we had the first take on Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat Annihilation from 1995, which were enjoyable at the time, but not
still
well
enjoyable.
done.
What are you talking about?
They were, yeah. Mm-hmm. I had the Street Fighter movie, which
is enjoyable, but dumb as heck.
Yeah.
It is such an awful movie. We're going to have this guy who's supposed to be an American, but guess what? He has a Dutch or a French accent.
And then we had the Tomb Raider movies. Same kind of deal. They had their moments, but they had plenty of issues with them. And most of them strayed so far from the video games that if it wasn't named the video game, you might not have ever put the two of them together. Like,
I would say the most recent Tomb Raider that came out, like what, 3-4 years ago.
Yes, that Tomb Raider, I like that one a lot.
That one stuck to the.
Yeah, the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raiders were fluff.
Not great.
Then there was the Resident Evil series. There's 6 or 7 of those ones that came out.
Well, I mean, then they had the Resident Evil TV show on Netflix, which flopped. And I mean, I would say if you're going to watch a Resident Evil movie, the animations stick closer to the video game material and they're more entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, like the ones with Mila Djokovic, they're fun, but eh.
Yeah, I feel like the first Resident Evil, if they could have just adapted that shot for shot, word for word into a movie, it would have been a dynamite movie.
Yeah. Well, change the dialogue. I mean, the dialogue in the first game was kind of awful, but
well, yeah. But then they had the Doom movie with The Rock, which was not good.
I'm not going to even get into that.
Silent Hill and Silent Hill Revelation.
They're fun. They're,
It made Pyramid Head popular for cosplayers, I guess.
Yeah.
Then
I
there was
mean, you forgot about Blood Rain and Far Cry by Uwe Boll. He was notorious for ruining video game movies for whatever reason. But
yeah, and then we had what else? Max Payne, Prince of
what?
Persia, The Sands of Time,
Okay,
Tekken.
so Max Payne was a letdown of a movie because the game is so great, and they could have made that a fantastic. If they would have taken a shot for shot, well, and the whole people, why would you want a shot for shot of the video game? Because it'd have been cool.
Mm,
It's just the same thing with like House of the Dead. That could have been a cool video game movie, but it was an awful movie. And I think
mm.
that was U Bowl too. But yeah, Max Payne is just one of those ones that was a letdown. Doom, I'm not going to even get into because I have huge problems with that movie. Tekken was not great at all. No.
Dead or Alive Birds, Hitman and its sequels, the Need for Speed
Hitman.
movie, Warcraft, all meh.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed, the Angry Birds movies, those were decent, but for what they were, I mean, I'll put it this way that I had a young one at the time, so I had to see them because it was an animated movie that came out in the theater. But I was pleasantly surprised that the Angry Birds movie was actually enjoyable because I'm like,
I was gonna say that was one of those ones where we weren't expecting anything, and I remember we left the drive-in, going, that was pretty good.
did anyone else like that? Because I'm afraid to say it out loud. Rampage with The Rock, which
Was okay. I mean,
okay, yeah. Then we get into the Detective Pikachu, Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog
Sonic,
2.
thank you. That's the other. For some reason, I couldn't think of. I was like, they did another video game movie recently, and that one again could have been awful
Mm,
because remember their first trailer of it,
yep.
and fans lambasted that trailer, and the studio was like, okay, let's fix it, and it was great.
Yeah, they turned it around. It was good. Monster Hunter with Mila Jovovich was good. I didn't like that movie.
Forgettable,
Yeah,
forgettable.
I didn't play the game, so I wondered if there's more tie-ins to the game. But watching it by itself, I was like, no, dumb.
No,
Mortal Kombat got another reboot in 2021, which I was
it was.
let down by again.
I was gonna say it was okay. I would never watch it again, but they did a lot. It was a little bit more true to the game. I will say that the sequel coming up, I'm excited for because they're going to add more to it, but I'm still cautious about it.
Mm. But see, we go through that list, and that's I'm sure we've missed a few more, but that's a pretty solid list of most of the video games that have been turned into movies up to now. And
Mhm.
on that list, there's maybe what 5 of them that I'm super stoked that I saw. Almost all the rest of them, if they never came out, I'd be like, okay, well, the world's not missing much.
Right.
Which makes me sad because a lot of those are franchises that I thoroughly enjoyed. I love playing, or I love the characters in, and the movie comes out, and you're like, oh, lame. But most
Well, and
recently,
this
they
is
seem to be doing a good job putting storylines and budgets and actual stars in some of the movies.
well, that's what I'm thinking too. Is like you think about it. Last of Us is a perfect example of. I know tons of people who've never played the game that absolutely love the show,
Mm-hmm.
and for good reason. I mean, they stick to the source material and everything like that. And I'm thinking, is this the route that some video games should be adapted? Is via a mini series, hour long episodes where they take a 20-hour game, condense it to 6 hours rather than a 2 hour movie. You know, I think that might do some justice to some video games that we both love. Like the Gears of War franchise, or if they redo Halo, I think that would be fantastic because that was a letdown.
I would love to see if they could do something like Final Fantasy VII into a series, just a
Yeah,
limited series, a 6 to 10 episode series that breaks that down and just tells the whole story start to finish. I think it'd be thoroughly enjoyable. I think.
well, and that's the thing too. Is I mean, you look back at again Final Fantasy Spirits Within. That movie was loosely based off of the
In name
Final
only.
Fantasy, yeah, Final Fantasy universe, but it was an entertaining movie, but it was like, eh. The Final Fantasy VII Advent Children was a great animated movie, but a lot of people, you know, kind of fell to the wayside with it. So it's
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those ones where it's like, we could have the same argument with movies that are adapted from books.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't they just stick to the source material?
Yep.
It's right there. Why don't they just stick to it? I mean, with the Mario movies, yeah, they have a little bit more leniency because the story is he goes to this place and rescues a princess. That's it. That's the basis of a lot of the games. Granted, there's other games where they can kind of adapt and pull from, but that's the premise, and they can add their own kind of story of how this happens or this happens or this happens because it's not really a narrative game. It's just a fun platformer. And I think that's the problem with like stuff like Halo or Assassin's Creed, or it's a narrative game that has a specific story that a lot of people, thousands upon millions, have played. And when you try to adapt it, and it's like, I understand taking some liberties, but changing the whole story just doesn't make sense. And
It's like going down the Star Wars path that there's so much material that's already out there that you can't adjust or alter anything without completely destroying your storyline.
right, I know I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but Doom is a perfect example of this. We all know the story of Doom. It's a first person shooter where you fight demons, right? You save the world from demons. The first Doom, you go to Mars, and because they opened up a portal to hell, right? The movie, nope. It takes place. I think it takes place on Mars. I don't even remember, but it's not. It's a virus, not demons. And I'm just like, this is
Pretty sure
no.
everything that came out from 1995 to 2005 was a virus.
Yeah,
Zombie,
some
virus.
some kind of virus.
Bad weather, Earth's got a virus.
Aliens, they died because of a virus.
There you go. So we got the older movies, mostly bad, few good. The not quite as old movies, get a 50-50 shot. And now more of the recent ones seem to be getting to the point where more of them seem to be better than not. So what about some of the future ones coming up? Because
do you think, like,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you think like it's gotten better because more of the directors and writers and producers grew up with this material and they're like, let's make it true?
I think there's some of that, and I think there's also the fact that they've actually made some successes now that somebody, if the powers that be in Hollywood, finally realizes that, oh, if we do this right, we can actually be successful with them. Because I think a lot of the past ones, they were just greenlit as pet projects or something like that, never really got full support, and I just did what they could. And now they're starting to realize that it's a profitable genre. All of a sudden, then they're going to dump some creativity and some dollars into it. So we get to reap the benefits of that, but then we also get to reap the benefits of there'll probably be way too many of them if the Mario Brothers sets a bunch of records and then 2 or 3 other video game movies do really well, then you can bet for the next 4 or 5 years everything will be a video game movie.
I mean, I think that's kind of what we're heading to, because you look back at the past 15 years where everything was a superhero movie, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we're kind of going into the realm now where they're going to start adapting a lot of more video game stuff. It may not be oversaturation like the superhero movies, but
there's a little more play in the genre too, because there can be video games that are about lots of different topics. So
right,
all video game movies aren't going to feel like the same movie. Like the Mario Brothers movie has nothing to do with Uncharted, which has nothing to do with Silent Hill. Like none of those have hardly any even crossover of what they cover, what they're about, what their fan base.
That'd be funny. Mario meets Pyramid Head. Well, I think
Kevin
for the
Feige.
Right. I think what kind of worked too for the Mario movie was they did truly animation style. They made it feel like, kind of like a video game. And Illumination is they gave us the minions, yay. But I think they did a fantastic job with the Mario movie, and I don't know if it had been as successful had it been a live action movie.
No, not at all. Yeah, some things that I think that's part of the other part too of animation is finally becoming a what do you call it, an okay thing in Hollywood for adults. Because even when we were in our 20s, I remember getting made fun of for going to see cartoons. You guys are going to see some cartoon at the theater? Why don't you guys grow up? Yeah. And now finally there is something that animation has matured, that people can still grasp the concept that an animated movie can still be really good, even if you're not into animation.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like, we talked about this with the exception, or the more acceptance rather, of anime. When growing up, anime was poo-pooed on. You're a nerd. You like that weird Japanese animation. Come on. And now it's like, it's blowing up. Oh, cool. Which anime is your favorite? That type of thing. It's like, oh, you cool. You like video games? Again, back in the day, it was like,
yeah, when we were kids, if somebody asked you what anime you like, you were like bracing to get punched in the gut. Like,
But
But
yeah.
there's some upcoming movies that I'm really excited about. The one that I'm most excited about is probably the Borderlands movie.
Yes, I forgot about that. That kind of went up and down, and hopefully it's good.
Hopefully it's good. I look at the cast of it. Supposedly they just wrapped up filming by what I've been reading online. I'm not 100%, but have you seen the cast of what they got going on there?
Not what you got.
Well, for one, your boy, you just talked about Jack Black, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's the voice of Claptrap.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's gold right there.
Yeah, Kevin Hart is Roland. Jamie Lee Curtis is Tannis. Gina Gershon is Moxie.
Is this an animated movie or is it live action?
Live action.
Kevin Hart. Maybe I'll see it.
Yeah, like if you just go IMDb and the casting on there, I'm like, okay, if they do this any kind of justice at all, it looks fantastic. Ariana Greenblatt is going to be Tiny Tina. I'm not sure who that is. And
Fun name.
Kate Blanchett is going to be Lilith.
That's a good casting. Well, I mean, again, so you have the Borderlands movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you have the talks of the Gears of War that they're trying to adapt into a TV show, and there's talks of getting Dave Bautista in and everything like that. There's talks of getting God of War greenlit for a TV show,
Mm-hmm.
which I think would be great. But it's one of those ones where like I I'm excited for this renaissance of video game movies and TV shows, but I'm also scared because I don't want people to get oversaturated. But like you said, there's different genres
I mean,
of video games.
I forgot about a couple others too. We had the Arcane League of Legends show on Netflix come
Oh,
out.
yep, that was really good,
And the Witcher series that came out.
which is really good. Except for I'm not excited for what is it, season 4 that's going to have Liam Hemsworth.
Mm-hmm.
Is it now? Yeah.
But again, solid shows that are way different. I wouldn't see both of those like, I can't believe they made another one of these because they're
Yeah, that's
nothing
true.
like each other. And some of the other list of things that I've seen on here, which not sure how many of these are legit because it's somebody's blog talking about upcoming video game movies, but Sonic the Hedgehog has a third one coming out, another Silent Hill movie, a Gran Turismo movie.
Yep. So that's going to be interesting because I know that's already being made, and they want you to feel like you're playing the video game in the theater while you're doing it. I'm like, Gran Turismo doesn't really have a story, but okay, we'll see.
Racing. Then there's an untitled Minecraft movie in the works. Poppy Playtime, Beyond Good and Evil.
I forgot Five Nights at Freddy's just wrapped shooting. That's coming out soon.
Mm-hmm. The Division, Firewatch, Sniper Elite, Duke Nukem, Just Cause, Mega Man, Metal Gear Solid.
Hold on, back up.
Uh-huh.
Can Duke Nukem be made in these times now without it being lambasted and boycotted?
No, but it will.
Okay. All right.
It might be the wrong fan base that it hits, but it'll hit one of them.
Metal Gear Solid has been in talks for years, and that's one that I'm excited for, but I'm also scared of because that's my favorite video game franchise of all time. So that scares me. But continue.
Let's see. I got Mega Man, Streets of Rage, Dragon's Lair, the movie, Ark Survival, Five Nights at Freddy's. You mentioned that one. Sleeping Dogs. A Portal movie. If they make a Portal movie a comedy, it could be a gold mine.
If they make I was gonna say if they make the Portal movie exactly like the game, I will I will see that movie 10 times in the theater, dude. That game is so great. The humor in it is just it's top.
And then it starts getting a little weird. If we're talking a Space Invaders movie, BioShock, Just Dance, Ghost of Tsushima, Call of Duty, another Tomb Raider, Days Gone By, Pac-Man, Yakuza, The Mortuary Assistant, It Takes Two, Sifu, and Space Channel 5. All rumored to be in the works.
That's a lot of random video games that would work as movies, but I don't see them being greenlit. Ghost of Tsushima maybe, but like there's I don't know. I'm like Space Invaders is weird. Didn't we already kind of get that with Pixels?
That's what I thought.
And
I feel like when people make video games, I'm more excited when they make them to be stories like the Mario Brothers world. I'm not as excited about taking old Atari games and making them into video games. Like, what do we need? A Pitfall movie and a Pong movie? Like,
Okay, hold on, back up, dude. Pitfall movie would be legit if they did it right and did it like a new take on an Indiana Jones type of thing, because that would be fun.
But it doesn't
That
need
would
to be.
be
It doesn't need to be Pitfall. It can just be. Why?
it,
Why would you need to tie it to Pitfall?
because that'd be fun. I'm okay with that one. I'll greenlit that one. But you're right, like Pong and even Space Invaders is like, mm,
Yeah,
I don't know.
you're a ship. Yeah, maybe they'll surprise me. Hollywood's done that before, but basically what we can say is there's a lot of them that are going to be coming in. If they succeed, like Mario Brothers, there's going to be even more of them. So if you like them,
Yeah.
you probably got some good years ahead of us.
Well, and I will tell you too, kind of off on a tangent, because I mean they did have a Dungeons and Dragons video game. Again, that's another one where it's our nerd culture that back in the day you got made fun of. Now because of Stranger Things and everything like that, more celebrities embracing it. Plus the new movie that just came out. Bring on more of that, please.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Did you ever see the Dungeons and Dragons with Jeremy Iron?
It's awful.
It is trash. I don't even think I finished that movie, to be honest with
No,
you.
it was bad. Like we were joking about some of the other video games we got, but that first Dungeons and Dragons movie was painful.
And honestly, Jeremy Irons is the best part of that whole movie, and it's like I think he took it just because he had to pay for a mansion or something. I mean, that movie is awful. But again, I like that Hollywood now. I think it's the people who grew up with it. Is like I want to honor, my hobbies, my, what I grew up with. So,
And I think you might have nailed it on the head right there, because it's gotten to the point when people can make these movies now. They get somebody in there at the helm that says, "I want to make this movie be a part of this franchise or to honor this franchise," rather than "I need to make this movie. This franchise can make me some money. Let's slap this on there and make a movie with it."
right, right, yeah.
Because you could almost hear that in the boardroom in that first Super Mario Brothers movie. Bunch of kids are playing this Nintendo thing. How are we going to put a movie in it? Put that guy from Who Framed Roger Rabbit in it. He sells tickets. Yeah, okay. Let's make some money off this Nintendo thing.
I mean, that was the whole reason Street Fighter got greenlit.
Mm-hmm. Kids are putting quarters at the arcade. They'll put dollars in at the movie theater. Make it happen.
And we did, too. And we all left the theater entertained but sorely disappointed.
I think I was sorely disappointed either way. It was there was a
I don't know. Raul Silva's M. Bison is just fantastic, and to know that he was battling stomach cancer while filming that movie is like, dude, more power to you, man.
Yeah, he gets a mulligan, but nobody else in that movie does.
Talking to you, Jean-Claude Van Damme. I can say that because he doesn't know where I live.
He can figure it out. Anyway,
Probably.
So that about does it for this week. Video game movies. Get your recap of pretty much all the ones that have been in existence, some of the ones upcoming, and the fact that the one that just came out is breaking records. Let us know what your favorite video game franchise turned movie is at the comments on social media, on Facebook or on Instagram or on YouTube, Twitter, all those things. So let us know on there. Love to chat back with you. Derek, it's been fun.
Yes, sir.
And we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.